So you hear probably medium tooth, smooth paper. What are the differences and how you can know what's best for your artwork? I'm going to try to explain now. The first one is the Bristol. So Canson Graduate Bristol, 180 grams and A3 size, and there are 20 pages. So what does the gram mean? Like why there's 82 pounds and 180 grams? Because 180 grams is actually not equal to 82 pounds. What's happening there? It's actually the way that they measure stuff is very different. 180 gram is per meter square, but 82 pounds is the weight of 500 papers when we stack them on top of each other. So that's why they are pretty different. If you see 180 gram, it's pretty good. It's pretty heavy for drawing paper, and I really like to draw on those. And this says very smooth and bright white, so I'm excited to draw on this. We will see. I usually use smooth paper for my colored pencil realistic drawings, and I don't use it much with my graphite pencils or charcoal pencils, and we will see if I'm doing the right thing or not. Let's compare. While testing out these papers, I'm going to use this 2B graphite pencil, a charcoal pencil, and also I have 2 colored pencils. Let's start with our Graduate Bristol. First of all, it's very smooth, very slippery on the paper, so this is great. It has actually almost a gloss, so that's why you see that my graphite doesn't hold on to the paper very much, and when I try to blend with my tissue, it doesn't blend at all. So that kind of proves my point. It's not great for graphite, but guys, it created wonders with colored pencils. Look at the strokes. You can see all the strokes in the graphite and charcoal pencil, but you cannot see anything in the colored one. It is so smooth. Let's look at the charcoal one like right now and trying to blend it, and it's not working very well. And if you look closely, you will see all these pencil strokes. Yikes. I don't think this is perfect for my charcoal drawings. This is the second Canson paper. It's mixed media and it's 200 grams, so heavier than the previous one. So what does mixed media mean? In here you have one side for watercolor, acrylic, and the back side of that paper is for drawing. So you have a very large tooth here on this side, and at the back side you just have like medium tooth of paper. So the medium tooth is for drawing and the other side is for watercolor. It's pretty exciting because you can use both sides, although I'm sure if you add water to this it's going to start bulging, so I'm not sure if you can draw the other side for drawing, but still it's pretty good. And let's check it out, how it's gonna perform. We're gonna start from the watercolor part, which is the coarse grained part, and obviously it's grainy. You can see the tooth is too big, and that's going to reflect on our drawing, of course. When I do hatching with my graphite pencil, you can see all the white of the paper showing, and even though I try to blend, it doesn't blend well at all. You can see all the tooth there, huh? I'm sure it's going to work with watercolor perfectly, but my colored pencils don't work amazingly on this paper either because there are too many white of the paper showing. Now let's try out the back of the paper, which is better for drawing. This was for watercolor, and now we have the medium grained drawing pad on the back of it. I think my hatching worked great. I think my toning, sorry, I keep saying hatching, but my toning worked great, and when I tried to blend it, it blended in a very nice way. I really liked it, guys. And with colored pencils, of course, you can see the tooth of the paper, but if you do the second or third layer, you can get a much better result. Look at the difference, guys. This paper has much larger tooth here. Another mixed media paper. It's again Canson Graduate, and it is 200 grams. It's exactly the same one with the other mixed media one, 20 pages. We will see how this mixed media will work because the both sides look very close to each other. They look medium grained. They almost remind me the hot press watercolor paper just a little bit, and somewhere between hot pressed watercolor and vellum paper, if you know these papers already, if you're working with them. It says light grain, but I don't think it's pretty light. It's very close to medium grain. It feels like it, but we're gonna see how it's going to perform when we start drawing on it. Let's check it out. This mixed media paper feels much different than the other one because I don't feel the coarse tooth under my fingers, so we will see how it goes. As I imagined, it's much finer tooth here. I can both use my graphite pencils and my watercolor on this paper. That's amazing. And when I tried to blend them, honestly, I really enjoyed it. It almost felt like vellum paper, guys. I'm doing this with tissue. You can see that even the second layer is much better. So if you're doing realism, if you're studying hyperrealism, this could be a good one for you. With colored pencils too, it didn't work that bad. I think the fine tooth helped, and you can do many layers with your colored pencils. Let's look at them closely. If I compare with the mixed media one that I did seconds ago, you can see the differences in the tooth of the paper. Canson 1557, it's another Canson paper pad, and it's pretty popular in Europe. It's 20 pages and 180 grams. It's typical for drawing paper, and it's actually really white. I really like white ones, not cream ones. I don't know what's your preference. Please share in comments. But we will see how this is going to perform. It says both for water mediums and dry mediums, but honestly, I will think twice before I go in with water with 180 grams. Just saying. And when you look at the tooth of the paper, it's medium tooth. We will see. I'm just so excited to compare this drawing paper with the next one. So the next one is coming soon too. But first, let's test it out. This drawing paper feels lighter than the mixed media ones, but it's still pretty wide. It's pretty thick, and I think I really liked working on this paper with my graphite pencil. And when it comes to blending it blended pretty well. With colored pencils too, I think by creating many layers we can get a good result from there, especially for animal portraits. I think this would be a very good choice. I have this as the final contestant. This is our Canson Graduate Drawing Pad. It's 160 grams. It's the lightest one so far, but when I look at the paper, let me see, it doesn't feel that light. It's still thick, guys. So this wouldn't be still bad for commission work. And it says 30 pages for this, so it sounds more reasonable. And light grain. When I look at it, definitely this is still feels like medium grain to me, but you cannot know it before you start drawing. Let's draw. This is the drawing pad as well. What is the difference between the other one and this one? First of all, this one feels thinner, but for some reason my graphite looked much darker on this paper, which is great. I like darker. And that's not a tomato, guys. I have been trying to draw an apple since the beginning, but I'm failing so hard. I think it blended the best on this paper, and my colored pencils were feeling much better on this paper. I don't know why, and when I did more layers, it gave much better result. Now we have a pretty good idea about each one of them. Now it's time to compare and see which one I would buy in which medium and why. And do you agree with me? If you do or if you don't, please share in the comments. Let's compare. It's time to compare, huh? So, to begin with, I think Canson Graduate Bristol is the best for colored pencils if you're especially drawing realistic portraits. For animal portraits, you can choose something much more coarser in terms of tooth, medium grained or coarse grained. That would be best for you. Here, I didn't like the graphite results, honestly, or charcoal results on this Canson Graduate Bristol, so I wouldn't buy that for graphite drawing, although on the first page you look like it's for graphite. And the second one, the Canson Mixed Media Pad, is perfect for people who do a lot of mediums at the same time, like watercolor drawing with colored pencils or charcoal pencils. Let me give you a closer look. The watercolor part looks like a cold pressed one, and below you see the drawing part of this mixed media paper, and it is medium grained, and it actually blends really well, and you still see the tooth, but it just gives a nice texture to your drawing instead of like looking awkwardly, you know, white. And here you can see that when I draw lines on the drawing paper, it looked really nice. So I definitely recommend this if you're working with a lot of media at the same time. Let's look at Canson Graduate Mixed Media. It almost feels like a hot pressed watercolor paper. I cannot explain exactly, but my blending was great with graphite and charcoal. And when you compare with the other mixed media pad, I think it has finer tooth, like just slightly finer tooth. Look, it looks much finer than this one, right? But very similar, I'll give you that. In terms of graphite though, they're almost exactly the same. Canson 1557. So this is a very popular one in Europe. As I said, I think graphite hold on to this paper really well, and the charcoal was blending nicely as well. If you compare with the other drawing paper we just talked about, you can see that 1557 has a little bit less tooth than the other one. It's just finer tooth, I would say. But the colored pencil work looks very similar to me. And finally, we're talking about Canson Graduate Drawing Paper, which was, I would say, my favorite. Look at the graphite drawing, guys. It looks much darker than the all other ones, and it blended perfectly with my tissue. And my colored pencils, they layered so well on this paper for some reason. And when I tried to blend the charcoal, it blended perfectly as well. So if I had to choose a drawing paper, I think, of course we need to look at the prices too, but I would choose Canson Graduate Drawing Paper. Let me show you closely like how the colored pencils look really nice on top of each other, the layers, and how the charcoal blended so well. So in overall, again, let me remind you, if you're a type of person who's working with more than one media at a time, definitely Canson Mixed Media Pad is for you. And if you compare this mixed media and this mixed media, I think if you're working on a cold press watercolor, this is as good, and hot press watercolor is this one. So it's all up to you which one you choose. And here in terms of drawing pads, if I had to compare, I think honestly they gave very similar results, but my favorite had been the Canson Graduate Drawing. And for colored pencil, definitely Canson Graduate Bristol, the very beginning one, is my favorite. What do you think, guys? What is your favorite? Please share with me, I would like to know. And now that we decided on what we want, it's time to check their prices. How much are they? Let's check them out. First of all, I need to tell you that these are all made, the graduate series made in Europe. So if you want to order, you have to order them from England, Amazon Co. UK, or you can go to other French or Italian, especially vendors, to buy these products. Of course, this needs to include shipping as well. So Canson Graduate Bristol, the smooth paper is $12.31. It's an A3 size and 20 pages. And for Canson Mixed Media Pad, we have $13.36, again for the same size and same amount of pages. When it comes to Canson Graduate Mixed Media 200 grams, what is the difference if you ask? This one had the other side like medium tooth, and this was like a coarse tooth, and this one has fine tooth. It's like, I would say, medium to fine, and the price is $12.79 for 20 pages. And Canson 1557, it's white colored drawing pad. It's 180 grams, pretty thick, and this is gonna blow your mind, guys. So I looked at the A3 size because I want them to be the same size, and it was $31.5, which is a lot of money. And interestingly, actually, if you buy it from Europe, then you actually buy it for cheaper. I don't know, it's interesting. But if you buy A4 sizes, they're more available, such as on Blick Art Materials or Amazon, and you can get it for cheaper, but for A3 size it's pretty expensive. And finally, for the Canson Graduate Drawing, the fine one, the fine tooth one, 160 grams, is $12.79. Again though, you have to pay attention, these are all 20 pages, so the price per page is much higher here than here. So I mean, obviously this is still very expensive, but once you divide, let me show you. If we divide, let's say 12.79 by 30, then the price is 0.4 cents for dollar, sorry, like 40 cents for a page. But if you go to, this is also a drawing pad, let's do that one. So we go to 12.31 divided by 20, so it's 60 cents. Like, so it's just like affecting the price in overall. But of course, if we look at the most expensive one, it's almost $1, right? So 31 point, it's actually more than $1. Oh wow, that's basically $1. So 30, yeah. So you can still buy them and you can still use them, but then you have to sell your art accordingly. You have to calculate the prices. I hope you like this, guys. And somebody asked me if this was my fiance, but it's not, it's Tesla. I just love this scientist. So if you're curious, just wanted to let you know. I hope you find this comparison helpful. I'll see you in my next video if you click right here. Bye.